Never reveal to others what you are doing. Success, at its core, is a quiet endeavor. It doesn't demand a spotlight or a megaphone. Like a seed planted deep in the soil, it begins in silence, hidden from view, requiring time, care, and patience to grow. It doesn't announce its intentions to the world or seek applause for its efforts. Instead, it works steadily, persistently, until one day it emerges, strong, undeniable, and awe-inspiring. Yet, in our modern world, filled with constant chatter and the pressure to share every thought, many of us feel compelled to broadcast our plans. We declare our goals, outline our dreams, and share our aspirations with anyone who will listen. Why? Perhaps it's the allure of validation, the thrill of saying, "Look at me, I'm on my way." Or maybe it's the hope that by speaking our plans aloud will make them more real. But here's the paradox. The more we talk about our ambitions, the less energy we have to pursue them. Sharing our plans too soon can drain the very momentum we need to succeed. It's a subtle but powerful truth, one I've witnessed time and again in my decades of working with entrepreneurs, dreamers, and doers. People with bold ideas, visions, that could reshape their lives, often sabotage their own progress by talking too much, too early. They expose their fragile dreams to doubt, criticism, and distraction, and before they know it, the fire that once burned brightly within them has flickered out. Today, I want to explore the philosophy of keeping your plans close, not out of secrecy, but out of wisdom. This isn't about hiding or being aloof. It's about strategy. It's about understanding the delicate relationship between intention and action, focus and distraction, results and recognition. We'll dive into why silence is a powerful ally in the pursuit of success, how it protects your energy, preserves your focus, and amplifies your results. By the end, you'll see that what matters isn't what you say you'll do. It's what you actually accomplish. And you'll understand why letting your actions speak louder than your words is a path to lasting, meaningful success. The energy of intention. Let's start with a fundamental truth. Every goal, every dream, every plan begins with intention. That intention is like a spark, a burst of energy that ignites your motivation and sets you on your path. But that energy is finite, especially in the early stages when your vision is still taking shape. Every time you share your plans with others, you release a piece of that energy. You give away a fragment of the fire that fuels your actions. It's not that sharing is inherently bad. It's that sharing too soon, with too many people, can dilute the very drive you need to move forward. Think about it. When you announce your intentions, something subtle happens in your mind. You say, "I'm starting a new business," or "I'm going to run a marathon," and the people around you respond. They nod, smile, maybe even offer words of encouragement. That feels good, doesn't it? The validation. The sense that others see you as someone capable of great things, it's intoxicating. But here's the danger. Your brain can mistake that approval for progress. You haven't taken a single step toward your goal, but you've already tasted a small piece of the reward. It's like eating dessert before dinner. It satisfies your hunger momentarily, but it leaves you less motivated to do the hard work of cooking the meal. This phenomenon has a name in psychology: the social reality effect. When you share your goals, you create a sense of accomplishment in your mind, as if talking about the goal is a step toward achieving it. But in reality, you've done nothing concrete. The urgency to act fades, and the dream that once felt so vivid begins to feel like something you've already achieved, at least in the eyes of others. You settle into a state of complacency, and the real work, the gritty day-to-day effort, required to turn your vision into reality, gets pushed to the back burner. This is how dreams die, not with a dramatic failure, but with the slow, quiet erosion of good intentions. I've seen this play out countless times. Years ago, I worked with a young woman named Sarah who had a brilliant idea for a tech startup. She was passionate, driven, and full of ideas. At every opportunity, she'd share her plans with colleagues, friends, even strangers at networking events. She'd talk about the app she was developing, the market she'd disrupt, the success she'd achieve. People were impressed by her enthusiasm, and she thrived on their encouragement. But months went by, and the app never materialized. The more Sarah talked, the less she coded, prototyped, or tested. Eventually, her enthusiasm waned and the project fizzled out. Why? Because she spent her energy seeking validation instead of building momentum. Contrast that with another entrepreneur I knew, a man named David. David had a similar vision for a tech product, but he approached it differently. He kept his plans close, sharing only with a small circle of trusted advisors, a mentor, a close friend, and a potential co-founder. He didn't post about it on social media or pitch it at every meetup. Instead, he worked quietly, spending evenings and weekends refining his prototype. When he finally launched his product, it was polished, functional, and ready for the market. The response was overwhelming, not because he'd hyped it up, but because the results spoke for themselves. David's success wasn't just in the product, it was in his discipline, his focus, and his commitment to action over words. The perils of oversharing. Why do we feel the need to share our plans so freely? Part of it is human nature. We're social creatures, wired to seek connection and approval. In today's hyper-connected world, where social media amplifies every thought and idea, the pressure to share is stronger than ever. Platforms like X, Instagram, and LinkedIn reward us for posting updates, announcing milestones, and showcasing our progress. A quick post about your new project can garner likes, comments, and shares, feeding that craving for external validation. But what feels like progress in the moment can become a trap over time. When you share your plans prematurely, you expose them to three dangerous forces: doubt, distraction, and envy. Let's break these down. Doubt. Not everyone who hears your plans will believe in them. Some people, whether out of skepticism, caution, or their own insecurities, will question your ideas. They might say, "Are you sure that's a good idea?" Or, "That sounds risky." They may not mean to discourage you, but their words can plant seeds of doubt in your mind. If you're not careful, those seeds can take root, making you second-guess your vision. Suddenly, the goal that once felt so clear and achievable starts to seem uncertain, even impossible. I remember a friend named Michael who wanted to leave his corporate job to start a consulting business. He was excited about the possibilities and shared his plans with his colleagues. Most were supportive, but a few raised concerns. "Consulting is tough," they said. "You'll need a lot of clients to make it work." Their comments were well-intentioned, but they lingered in Michael's mind. He began to worry about the risks, the competition, the financial uncertainty. Over time, those doubts eroded his confidence, and he decided to stay in his job, letting his dreams slip away. Had he kept his plans private, he might have had the mental space to push through those uncertainties and take the leap. Distraction, sharing your plans, also invites distractions. People will ask questions, offer suggestions, or share their own ideas, pulling you in different directions. Before you know it, you're spending more time explaining your vision than working on it. Every conversation becomes a detour, taking you away from the focused effort needed to make progress. I once worked with a writer named Emily who dreamed of publishing a novel. She was passionate about her story and loved discussing it with friends and family. They'd ask about her characters, her plot, her themes, and she'd eagerly share every detail. But the more she talked, the less she wrote. She'd spend hours responding to feedback or debating plot points, leaving little time for actual writing. Eventually, she realized that her novel wasn't progressing because she was too busy explaining it. When she decided to stop sharing and focus on writing, her productivity soared, and she finished her first draft in just 6 months. Envy. Finally, there's the risk of envy. Not everyone will celebrate your ambition. Some people, consciously or unconsciously, resent your drive because it reminds them of their own unfulfilled goals. They may not say it outright, but their subtle negativity, sarcastic comments, backhanded compliments, or passive-aggressive remarks can drain your energy. Envy is a silent killer of dreams, and the more you share, the more you expose yourself to it. I recall a young artist named Lisa, who was working on a series of paintings for a gallery show. She was excited about her project and posted regular updates on social media, sharing sketches and progress photos. Most of her followers were supportive, but a few peers in the art community responded with veiled criticism. Interesting concept, but it's been done before, one commented. Bold colors, but maybe too bold, said another. These remarks chipped away at Lisa's confidence, making her question her artistic choices. When she decided to go offline and focus on her work, she regained her clarity and completed a stunning series that earned rave reviews at the gallery. The power of discretion. The antidote to these dangers is discretion. Keeping your plans private isn't about being secretive or shutting people out. It's about protecting your focus, preserving your energy, and giving your dreams the space to grow. It's like building a greenhouse for your ideas, a safe environment where they can flourish free from the harsh elements of doubt, distraction, and envy. Discretion allows you to maintain control over your narrative. When you share your plans, you invite others to shape your story. Their opinions, questions, and criticisms become part of your mental landscape, influencing your decisions and diluting your vision. But when you keep your plans close, you retain the power to define your path. You decide what matters, what's worth pursuing, and how to move forward. This autonomy is liberating. It frees you from the weight of external expectations and allows you to operate on your own terms. There's also a practical benefit to discretion. It builds momentum. Momentum is the forward motion you create through consistent, purposeful action. It's the rhythm you develop when you focus on the work itself, taking small steps that build on each other over time. When you're not talking about your plans, you're not wasting energy justifying them or seeking approval. Every moment you spend working, rather than explaining, adds to your progress. You gain speed, clarity, and confidence, and before you know it, you've made significant strides toward your goal. I once knew a man named James who wanted to run his first marathon. He was in his late 40s, not particularly athletic, and the idea of running 26.2 miles seemed daunting. Instead of telling everyone about his goal, he kept it to himself. He started training quietly, waking up early to jog before work, gradually increasing his distance. He didn't post about his runs or join running groups for validation. He just worked day after day in silence. 9 months later, he crossed the finish line of his first marathon, surprising his friends and family, who had no idea he'd been training. Their admiration was genuine. Not because he'd hyped up his goal, but because he'd achieved it through sheer dedication. Contrast that with another acquaintance, Tom, who also wanted to run a marathon. Tom was vocal about his plans, posting daily updates about his training on social media. He thrived on the likes and comments, but over time, the pressure to perform for his audience became overwhelming. When he hit setbacks, a sore knee, a missed training week, he felt embarrassed, as if he was letting his followers down. The scrutiny slowed his progress, and eventually he abandoned the goal altogether. The difference between James and Tom wasn't talent or ability, it was focus. James protected his momentum by keeping his plans private, while Tom lost it by seeking external validation. The element of surprise, another benefit of discretion, is the element of surprise. There's a unique power in letting your results speak for themselves. When you work quietly, without fanfare or previews, your achievements have a greater impact. People are caught off guard, marveling at what you've accomplished because it seemed to come out of nowhere. This isn't about showing off, it's about letting the quality of your work take center stage. Think of some of the most successful people in history. Many of them operated in silence before revealing their breakthroughs. Steve Jobs didn't announce every detail of Apple's product development process. He unveiled finished products like the iPhone with dramatic flair, letting the results captivate the world. J.K. Rowling wrote the first Harry Potter book in obscurity, sharing it only when it was ready, and the impact was seismic. These examples show that silence isn't just a strategy, it's a way to amplify your success. I recall a woman named Rachel who dreamed of launching a bakery. She spent years perfecting her recipes, experimenting with flavors, and studying the business side of baking. She didn't talk about her plans or post about her progress. Instead, she worked quietly, saving money, securing a small storefront, and preparing for her launch. When she finally opened her bakery, the response was overwhelming. Customers raved about her pastries, and local media covered her story. Amazed that such a talented baker had emerged seemingly out of nowhere, Rachel's success wasn't just in her baking, it was in her discipline, her focus, and her decision to let her results do the talking. The role of selective sharing now. Let's address a common concern. Isn't sharing important for accountability or feedback? The answer is yes, but timing and audience matter. Sharing your plans can be valuable, but only with the right people and at the right stage of your journey. In the early stages, when your vision is still fragile, it's best to keep it private. This is when your ideas are most vulnerable to doubt and distraction. Focus on building a foundation. Take action, test your assumptions, and refine your approach. Once you've made progress, when your vision is more solidified, you can share selectively with a small, trusted circle. These should be people who genuinely want you to succeed, mentors, close friends, or colleagues with relevant expertise. Even then, be sparing with the details. Share enough to gain insight or support, but not so much that you lose ownership of your vision. Think of it like a painter showing a half-finished canvas to a mentor. You reveal enough to get constructive feedback, but you don't invite the whole world to critique your work in progress. I once worked with a man named Mark, who was developing a new software tool. In the early stages, he shared his idea only with his business partner and a mentor who had experience in the industry. Their feedback helped him refine his concept without overwhelming him with conflicting opinions. As the project progressed, he brought in a small team of developers, sharing just enough to align their efforts. When the software was ready, he launched it to the public, and the response was phenomenal. Mark's success came from his ability to balance discretion with selective collaboration, protecting his vision while leveraging the right support at the right time. The freedom of silent work, one of the most liberating aspects of keeping your plans private, is the freedom it gives you to fail quietly. Success is rarely a straight line. It's a journey of trial and error, setbacks and adjustments. When you work under the public eye, every misstep feels magnified. A missed deadline, a failed prototype, or a change in direction can become a source of scrutiny or embarrassment. But when you work in silence, you have the space to experiment, learn, and grow without judgment. This freedom is especially important in the early stages of a project, when uncertainty is high and mistakes are inevitable. By keeping your plans private, you create a safe environment where you can take risks, test ideas, and refine your approach. You don't have to worry about explaining your failures or defending your choices. You can focus on the work itself, learning from each setback and building toward your goal. I think of a young musician named Alex who wanted to record his first album. He was passionate about his music, but nervous about sharing it too soon. Instead of posting demos online or performing unfinished songs, he spent a year writing, recording, and refining his work in private. He made mistakes, songs that didn't work, lyrics that fell flat. But he learned from them without the pressure of an audience. When he finally released his album, it was a polished, cohesive piece of art that earned critical acclaim. Alex's success wasn't just in his talent, it was in his willingness to embrace the quiet, messy process of creation. The confidence of self-reliance. Working in silence also builds a deeper kind of confidence, one that comes from relying on your own judgment rather than external validation. When you share your plans, you open the door to other people's opinions, and those opinions can shape your decisions in ways you don't even realize. A casual comment, a skeptical look, or an unsolicited suggestion can steer you off course, making you question your instincts. But when you keep your plans private, you learn to trust yourself. You develop a stronger connection to your own vision, your own process, and your own sense of what's possible. This self-reliance is a powerful gift. It frees you from the need for approval and empowers you to take ownership of your journey. You start to see setbacks not as failures, but as opportunities to learn. You begin to value progress over perfection, action over applause. And as you build a track record of small wins, daily efforts, completed tasks, incremental improvements. You cultivate a sense of capability that no amount of external praise can provide. I remember a woman named Claire who decided to start a non-profit to support local schools. She was passionate about education, but unsure where to begin. Instead of announcing her plans, she started small, researching funding options, meeting with educators, and drafting a mission statement. She didn't tell anyone outside her immediate family, and for months she worked quietly, learning the ropes and navigating challenges. Over time, her confidence grew, not because others praised her, but because she proved to herself that she could make progress. When she finally launched her nonprofit, it was a success, and her quiet determination inspired everyone around her. Results as your advertisement. One of the most compelling reasons to keep your plans private is that results are your best advertisement. When you achieve something significant, people will notice without you saying a word. Your success will create ripples, drawing attention and admiration in ways that words never could. This is the beauty of letting your actions speak. They carry a weight, a substance, that announcements and promises lack. Think of a chef who spends months perfecting a new dish. She doesn't post about every ingredient or technique. She focuses on the craft. When the dish is served, diners are blown away by the flavors, and word spreads. The chef doesn't need to boast about her process. The meal itself is the proof. The same principle applies to any endeavor. Whether you're building a business, writing a book, or training for a race, your results will tell a story far more powerful than any preview or pitch. I once knew a man named Robert who wanted to start a community garden. He had a vision to transform a vacant lot into a vibrant space for neighbors to grow food and connect. Instead of rallying support or publicizing his plans, he started small, clearing the lot, testing the soil, and planting a few crops. He worked quietly, often alone, for months. When the garden began to flourish, neighbors took notice. They were amazed by the transformation and eager to get involved. Robert's garden became a hub for the community, not because he talked about it, but because he made it happen. Protecting your focus is one of the most precious resources you have. It's the ability to channel your energy toward a single goal, cutting through the noise of distractions and staying true to your vision. But focus is fragile. It's easily disrupted by external voices, competing priorities, and the pressure to perform. When you share your plans, you invite those disruptions. People will ask questions, offer advice, or challenge your ideas, pulling your attention away from the work. The more voices in your ear, the harder it is to stay on track. Keeping your plans private protects your focus. It creates a quiet space where you can immerse yourself in the task at hand, free from the need to explain or justify your choices. This clarity allows you to make decisions with confidence, prioritize what matters, and maintain the discipline needed to move forward. I think of a designer named Sophia, who was tasked with creating a new product line for her company. The project was high stakes, with tight deadlines and high expectations. Instead of discussing her ideas with colleagues or seeking input from her team, she worked in solitude, sketching concepts, testing materials, and refining her designs. She shared her progress only with her manager, and only when she had something concrete to show. By staying focused, Sophia produced a stunning collection that exceeded expectations and earned her a promotion. Her success came from her ability to shut out distractions and let her work take center stage. The long game of silent success. The philosophy of silent success is about playing the long game. It's about recognizing that meaningful achievements take time, effort, and resilience. In a world that celebrates instant gratification and viral moments, it's easy to feel pressured to share your progress at every step. But real success, the kind that lasts, grows in the quiet moments, away from the spotlight. This doesn't mean you should never share your journey. There's a time and place for celebration, for reflection, for inviting others to join you. But those moments come after the work is done, when your results are tangible and your vision is realized. By then, your success will speak for itself, and the story you tell will be one of action, not just intention. I once knew a couple, Anna and Miguel, who dreamed of opening a small restaurant. They spent years saving money, researching locations, in perfecting their menu. They didn't talk about their plans or seek investors. They focused on the groundwork. When they finally opened their restaurant, it was a hit, with lines out the door and glowing reviews. Their friends were stunned, not because the restaurant was good, but because Anna and Miguel had built it without fanfare. Their success was a testament to their quiet determination, their willingness to work in silence until the time was right. A challenge to embrace silence. So, here's a challenge for you. The next time you set a goal, resist the urge to announce it. Don't post about it. Don't tell your friends. Don't seek validation. Instead, write it down. Make a plan. Take the first step, then the next, and the next, all in silence. Channel your energy into action, not words. Protect your focus, guard your momentum, and let your results be the proof. This approach isn't about secrecy, it's about intention. It's about recognizing that your dreams are precious, that your energy is finite, and that your focus is your greatest asset. It's about trusting yourself to see your vision through, without needing applause to get started or permission to keep going. When you work in silence, you give yourself the freedom to fail, to learn, to grow. You build confidence through action, not approval. And when the time comes to share your success, it will carry a weight that words alone could never convey. Imagine what you could achieve in that space of silence. Picture yourself working steadily, free from the weight of expectations, the noise of opinions, the pressure to perform. How much further could you go? How much stronger could you become? This is the essence of silent success, the power to let your actions speak, the wisdom to protect your dreams, and the discipline to make them real. As you move forward, embrace this philosophy. Let your results tell your story. Trust that the world will notice when the time is right, and when they do, it will be because you earned it. Success doesn't need a stage or a megaphone. It grows quietly, steadily, in the moments when no one is watching. So guard your dreams, nurture your focus, and let your actions speak. That's the path to true, lasting success, a path worth walking,